Hello and welcome back to Dinks with Debt. My name is Andrea and my husband's name is Anthony, and we're on a journey to get our finances under control and tackle our consumer debt. If this is your first time watching, thank you so much for being here with me. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and engaging with my channel. So when I left last time, we had just gone over our adjusted budget. We realized that we had a budget shortfall, and then we went through and cut some things and ended up with an expected surplus of $240. This was great, but my brain needed something a little bit more organized. And so I took a cue from the Budget Mom and one of my favorite budgeters, Budget with Mrs. P, and I went to Canva and created this budget sheet that I'll be using moving forward. I did try to use some of the templates that are out there, but unfortunately we have way too many debt payments that we're trying to pay off. And so along with like variable spending and even some of our bills, the templates that were out there didn't have enough lines for all of our expenses. So I just created this, and hopefully this will help keep me organized and kind of help with the practice of reviewing our budget from month to month and week to week. So the next step that I did was planned out, or mapped out, I guess, all of the expenses that we have throughout the month. We're currently in January 2025, and so what I'm going to be reviewing is our week 1 expenses. And normally we have decided that we'll be going from paycheck to paycheck and using the Budget Mom's budget by paycheck method. And essentially what she does is she says that you should be essentially kind of tracking when income comes to your account, and then all of the expenses that are covered under that period from one paycheck to the next. So for us, I get paid on the 1st, which happened to be on a Wednesday. So since we were kind of starting brand new, I went ahead and lumped that in this first time. So our budget this week actually covers 8 days, not 7 like it would normally. So I got paid on the 1st. My husband's first paycheck came in on Thursday, and then he gets paid weekly. So I noted that here. After that, I essentially put in all of our bills, like our mortgage, our electricity, all of our credit card payments. I also included things like our services, like lawn service, and then even our savings goals. So all those are in this monthly spread. And I didn't create this one. I went to printacalendar.com, which is a website that the Budget with Mrs. P had recommended, and they have lots of different formats and layouts and all that kind of stuff, so you can pick something that works for you. But from this, I went to the weekly, I filled in our monthly budget with our numbers. And so this includes all the information that was on that handwritten sheet with our $240 expected surplus. So overall, for the month, the math checks out. Now what happens is we are just looking at that smaller week. So this one is January 1st through 8th, and I included our 2 sources of income. In this section, it's all the bills and expenses that are going to be coming out of our account that week of January 1st through 8th. Our debt payments, we had quite a few this first week, but there's more, I think, that come in the following weeks. And then our variable spending. This is going to be the thorn in our side, but everything's on there. The totals and stuff match up. And then our emergency fund and Christmas savings, those I scheduled for this week. So a couple of things that you can kind of see is that, some things went exactly as planned. So like our mortgage got paid, our subscriptions and different things got paid. I did indicate on this first week the 2 things that we cut out from our budget, but unfortunately they had already drafted by the time we had our budget discussion during this first week of January. So those are still on there, but won't be reflected in the following months. Our debt payments came out as expected, savings funds as well. But you'll see here in our variable spending, some categories went great and others did not. So for personal spending, I wanted to ask a question to the peanut gallery if you guys want to comment. For the month, I had allocated $100 per person, and so that broke down to $20 a week. I made a purchase of almost $50. So for this week, I'm negative, and I just want to make sure as we move forward in the rest of the month, things should come out in the wash, right? I just kind of, I guess, maybe want some reassurance as this is the first time that we're doing, tracking and stuff this way. Likewise, with our groceries, that was a huge, I guess, like blown expense, but, I maybe should have planned for that better because we hadn't actually purchased any groceries since December 19th. I went back and looked at our account to see when was the last time that I had purchased groceries, and it's been almost 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks. So this was restocking everything in the fridge. So there were even some paper goods that I had to restock. So that's what those household expenses were. Our lunches we went over, so I'm going to talk about that as well. And then dining out, you can see there was a huge discrepancy. So we did cut this down to $75 every other week. So our total budget for the month was $225. So we've already gone over that. So we're going to have to make some adjustments so that everything kind of squares up at the end. But I'm going to move on to our expense tracking. So for this, I literally went into our checking account and, wrote down expense by expense. So anything that was deposited and then all the things that came out, whether those were drafts or, card purchases, so we don't do any like cash like stuffing at this point. That's just one other thing that I can't wrap my brain around at the moment. So all of this is stuff that we've either swiped or transferred from one account to another. So you'll see on here, like, bills and things like that came out, but there were some expenses like this lunch date that we went out to a noodle shop. And because I was on break, I work in public education, and so we were on winter break. I had some time and decided to go visit my husband and have a lunch date with him, which was lovely. I loved spending the time with him, but we hadn't yet set any limits for our lunches, our dining out, our anything. And so we just spent like we have normally been spending. So we had a lunch date there. And then I think a little later we had, another lunch date. That normally also wouldn't happen, but, we went out to Whataburger for this lunch date. And again, that right there took up the 70 something dollars that we had planned for this week. What you'll see is that we had another expense for dining out, and that's because my niece came home from college and she came to visit us, and we took her out to dinner just to catch up and hear what she's up to. So we really enjoyed spending that time with her, but again, we didn't plan for that. So another thing that really sent us over that category was a birthday dinner that we attended. We were not originally planning to attend this birthday dinner, but our plans changed, and so we canceled some plans and then were able to go to this. So that was something that we had not decided on doing, and it just kind of popped up. It wouldn't have been as big of an impact on our budget. Like we probably could have stuck to maybe 30. No, that would be lying. Like 40 or 50 bucks. But this particular restaurant has been on one of those like best of the best of the best. And the way that they do their sides is their family style. So they're bigger sides that you share with the table, but they cost more. So even though my husband and I just got like the proteins that we wanted, we purchased a couple of sides to share with the table. And so it ended up being $106.46. So that was almost as much as we spent for our anniversary dinner. So that was, you know, way more than we were expecting by committing to going to this birthday dinner. So we've already talked to our friends and kind of explained next time, like, we would like to be invited, even though we may politely decline, because we just can't afford it anymore. We're kind of putting a stop to that. So everything else here was, you know, pretty much what we had expected. Again, this is the, you know, the personal spending that I did. I planned for $20 for this week, even though the purchase came out to $49.31 over the entire month. I have $100 allocated to that category. So I'm hoping that the math, you know, maths at the end of the month. But if you guys want to tell me a little bit of, you know, how that stuff works, where was it? Here, this one here. I'm hoping, like I said, that things come out in the wash and that it works out, as long as we're, you know, we don't go crazy with the rest of the weeks of the month, just kind of spending all over the place. But this has been hard. I'm not going to lie. This has been a really challenging process, particularly because, you know, I'm learning that when you put all this stuff on the calendar, like, I did not account for, you know, like, my niece to come into town. And those are quality things that I want to do with my family when we're able to, because my family lives so far away. So I didn't even think twice about it, about, you know, taking her to dinner. So I think we as a couple, as a family, are just going to have to be more like forward thinking. We can't just do things by the seat of our pants and just kind of wing it. We have to have a plan, and we need to stick to that plan and be like diligent with our choices and our spending, and even talking the other one out of purchases, because that was also something that, you know, at the birthday dinner, we talked about it, like, if we should just get proteins and share the sides that everybody else purchased. And we just didn't want to look like we were, you know, not contributing to the overall, you know, to the overall celebration. And so, you know, some of those things, I don't know if it'll get better or easier being able to say no. Like, maybe once we learn that stuff, we needed to just say, this isn't the situation that we can afford, so we need to excuse ourselves or something. I don't know. I can't even imagine making that difficult decision. But, you know, we're learning. That's all I can say, is that I can extend grace to myself, extend grace to my husband. And this is the first time that we've had any kind of plan for our budget and spending in a really long time. So there's going to be a learning curve. But I wanted to keep this video short and sweet. Some progress, trying to get ourselves, you know, organized and at least on a plan. But we haven't been in the practice of reviewing our purchases. And so when my husband and I did that together, you know, we're literally doing it like super low tech. He logs into the bank account and reads the transactions. I write him down. And so as he's reading them, he's like, holy crap, we did this, or, oh man, that was more than what we had, you know, discussed, or that was more than we had planned. And so it's helping both of us to kind of realize that, you know, we have just been really lazy and undisciplined with our spending and our budget and all the things. So hopefully things get better. I appreciate you watching. Like I said, if this is your first time, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for spending your time with me. And I appreciate everybody's comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.